Has anyone got any interesting stories about accounts of when you felt like you took up space? So it's like that moment that you either stood up or that moment where you felt like, okay, this is that moment where I need to take up space, be heard. I'm sure we've got many different moments, but I feel like there's always like a few where you're like, oh, I remember that moment. I mean, I remember, I can start to give you an example. So in my old job, I remember there came a point when I realised that, oh wow, okay, I'm not gonna move any further forward. It's not me, it's them. I felt really strongly that I needed to verbalise that. It was like, they didn't get it. It was like they weren't, but when I go outside of my workplace and with my people in my industry, you'd get that accolade, you would get that support and being like, oh wow, or excited about some of the achievements that I'd made. It's fine, I get it, I'm just not your type of person. Like, and that's okay. That's okay for me, because for so long I had been kind of putting it on myself, like something I wasn't doing right in order to get in. And it was like, actually there was nothing I could ever do.
No, because there was never going to be a chance for you to get in.
Exactly, right?
They'd already put up the...
Yeah, exactly. I'd come as far as I could go.
Basically, I was on the train coming back to Margate from Gillingham or whatever. And there were these two white guys on the train who got on. They're a little bit like rowdy, but you know, drinking, whatever. And this train ticket guy came along saying like, you know, tickets, you know, standard doing his job. And he was a black guy, and then there was this altercation between the two of them, and basically they didn't have their ticket, and he was like, well, you need a ticket to get on the train, like. And they kind of went backwards and forwards, and then in the end, the white guy said to the black guy, oh, well, have you got an effing passport to get into the country?
Wow.
And no one, not one person said anything. One woman put her earphones in, another guy just got his book out, and it was just, and so that's when I kind of got up in that moment. And I guess, I've never even thought of it like that, but it is taking space. I remember coming away from that experience being like, why has it always got to be me? And people kind of said on the way out, like, well done for saying that, you know, and I was just like, oh, please don't say that, because where were you? You know, where were you in that moment?
Did you feel that when you went like, so, you know, you said like you felt like it's on you, was that instantly?
Instant, because I was like, I cannot come away from this situation and not have said anything, because that has happened in the past too many times for me, where I've just gone, oh, here we go again, I'm just gonna, and I was like, no, this is not okay. But I don't think I've ever thought of it as a moment of like taking space and being like, no, I'm not having this anymore, you know. And actually, from that experience, so much has come from it, and it's been, you know, it's been life-changing. When it did kind of, that video ended up going viral, the common sort of comments were, oh my gosh, I've never seen a video where someone has actually said something. It always ends up with, they get away with it.
And also, I just think, as I said with you, you're articulate, you're to the point, you're angry, articulate to the point, and sometimes just being angry and just making lots of noise doesn't do anything.
No, I agree.
whatsoever. In fact, sometimes, you know, there's a lot of videos on Instagram or Facebook or whatever at the moment of people just go at each other. And some of them I watch, and some of them think, that's a pointless.
No. It's a lost opportunity.
It's a lost opportunity.
No one's learning anything.
In fact, it makes things worse. Sometimes. I think. Sometimes you've got to be like that. Stealth. You might say 3 words, but that hits somebody.
Cynthia's right, because you're navigating a lot. You're not just navigating that situation. You're navigating patriarchy, misogyny, racism. It's all of it. And so you sometimes do just feel like you're like fighting fires all the time. And so actually, something I've been learning about recently is just living your life and having joy and rest and looking after yourself is a protest. And I found that really powerful.
Sometimes the quietest people, or the people who say the least, are the most powerful, or they're saying a lot. And I think sometimes being really loud, sometimes it's not all the time, but sometimes it's overrated.
Yeah.
Just because someone's like spouting off saying it doesn't mean they're saying anything that has any substance.
Absolutely.
That's one of the things I said, one of the main things I've kind of started to learn is like, okay, everyone's got their thing going on, and as long as I keep to my like mission of what's important to me, then really I can't go wrong. Like you said, people can feel like, okay, me taking up space, I have to be the best, the loudest, or I have to be on top, but that actually is counterproductive. How do you like talk to mummies? Have you found it? Have like journey of being a mum? Do you feel like there's more need to kind of be your like not take up space, but be your like this is who I am, like the separation? I know everyone's different, but having your own identity of beyond being a mum. Do you feel like that there are two separate things? Naomi, mum, Cynthia, mum, Naomi, person. Do you feel like that they can coexist together?
I just feel like I just can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't be something else there and then something else here.
Yeah.
It's just like I am fully that person, which can be good and also not so great. But also from day one, and this is a privilege that I have because I'm, have a husband who is really hands-on.
Yeah.
So I have that we can share the parenting, but I've been really strict about it can't all consume me. I have to have my own things going on.
Yeah, I do agree.
I just could not just do that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong if that's what you want to do. Just be really disciplined about saying no and being like, I can't do that. I can't do everything. Because otherwise I'd be at home now, making something or preparing something for tomorrow or ironing the uniform or whatever. And it's like, just no. I'll either iron the shirt in the morning or you'll just go to school with a crumpled shirt. Yeah, and just not refusing to not buy in, but to do the guilt.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you. I think, to me, they're the most important person or thing that's ever happened to me in my life. But I'm very, very, very aware that it's like, do you know when you take your child to I'm fine, thank you. When you take your child to school, they always say, "Oh, can mum do this? Can mum do that?" And I always look at them like, Cynthia. Do you know what I mean? Actually, Cynthia. And I can see why they do it because you can't remember everyone's names. But I think that's almost like a moment where a lot of women just feel that actually I don't count now. I'm just mum. And to me, I don't mind that. I quite like that. I never forget when I was on a job once and I knew a woman. She's quite high up in a particular company. And she had a child. This is before I even started thinking about having a child. And I was talking about a child really excitedly, and she just kept trying to shut me up. And I kept thinking, why does she want to talk about a child? And I kept saying, what is he doing? And she kept doing anything. And shutting me up. And it's only after I had a child and went back to work, I realised why she was doing that. As a man, you can speak about your child all day long. The football you've been to, he's doing this and that. But as a woman, if you're speaking about your child too much, in whichever job
this
you're
is
in, it's almost as though she's given up. That she's
and you're right. Oh my God.
She's in that mummydom compartment. So it made me. I suddenly realised why this particular woman was doing that. Just wouldn't want to speak about her children. Whereas I find that when I go to work, I probably speak about fear way more than I should do, to be honest with you. But But I do think people put you in a particular bracket when you've had a child.
Yeah.
Not reliable.
Yeah.
Can't rely on that person, or they're going to be a bit loosey-goosey about certain things. But what I found for me, though, having a child, is that it's just actually made me more stealth, to be honest with you. Because at the end of the day, I know that every minute I'm standing with this idiot, somebody go their bike, I could be my son. So it's much more. Just cut out the fat.
Really good.
Nasty, but I'm very, very direct. Whereas I used to look at friends of mine when they had children, I used to be like, how can you up in the morning, mate? One friend used to lay the table before she went to bed. I used to literally look at her like, what? You got time to do that? But I realise now what it was. She literally cut out all the crud in her life.
I love that. Cut the crud.
Cut the crud. Cut the pontificating. Just get straight to it. And I think that's the only way I've managed to cope.
But it's so true, like you're saying about, I think having Josh when he was born, I was 19. So I think even at that point, I was very aware of being the youngest mum whenever I went to the school, just being a young mum and all of that stereotype to where I've always been very quiet, protective, not secretive, but protective over my family. That never was like the point of conversation, was because there was probably a bit of like, I wouldn't say embarrassment, but I think it did follow of that idea of like people judging you for having a kid at a young age. And so that kind of followed in that sense of even when I had my other children, I kind of very much kept like family life very separate to like social life. Like that was, I don't know if it's the best thing way, but it's like that was my time. Social life just very separate. Family life is very, very separate. Keep them very separate. But I do think it is that thing. You're right. Is that idea of like, whether it's a good thing of like not just wanting to be known as you're a mum. Like from where I grew up, on my estate, there was lots of people that like we all had kids at that age. Like let's be frank, we all had kids at that age. But a lot of people, for a lot of people on my estate, you had kids at that age, had a number of different kids. You were on benefits, and like that was, and your kids were everything. And not that my kids aren't everything, but like that narrative is very different.
Their identity.
Exactly, that's what it was.
Identity was like it, you know.
And it's like for me, it's very much been about like, I love my kids, they're really, really important to me, but also how do I have an identity that includes that, but that's not solely who I am. And even in that's like an element of, taking up space for me. It's like, there's many parts of me, I can't be known as just this.
There was a colleague that I had, and I can't even remember why the conversation went this way, and I ended up saying the statement, but I come first. I said it's me first, and then it's my children.
I bet that was misconstrued.
And she, like the horror on her face, and I said, no, what I mean by that is, if I'm not well, if I'm not good, I am not a good parent.
No, of course, you're right.
And like that, it's not healthy. And I do know women that have had children, and they absolutely they just run into the ground, and almost like martyrs. And you're like, it doesn't have to be this way.
Sometimes when I see certain people who I know to get somewhere, I'm just like, please, I just need 15 minutes of my brain. Almost turn the page, just have a clean, where for 15 minutes I'm not thinking about anything at all. And there's nothing wrong with that as mothers.
No, nothing wrong with that at all.
After that 15 minutes, I can go back and I'm like, right, okay, what are we going to do now?
Exactly.
But it's not because I
don't realise, I think sometimes is like, your brain is just thinking for everyone, and then you wow, when you do get that 15 minutes, you're like, shit, I'm holding down a lot of stuff. Wow. You're like, wow. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But then you're like, oh, I've got 30 minutes left. Okay. You're like...
There's a lot of resentment. I'm not ashamed of it. No, don't be.
So, if you had to give somebody a bit of advice on tools, techniques, things that you do to, I don't want to say like to take up space, but to give you that encouragement or moment for you to be able to tackle. So if you are in that job where you're trying to take up space, or if you are on that new venture where you're trying to do something that's taking up space, what are the things that you do to help you with that? What do you do to get that, what do we call it, that thing on your shoulder, the imposter? What are the things that you do? And if you haven't got the get off,
You put a tune on and
So I think what I've realised is rituals are really important for me. In the start of the day, I try and get up before my kids are up, because when I start and I wake up and then everything is kids, because obviously it's like the mad rush. It's like I've not had that moment. So literally having myself, like even if it's half an hour, I get up, put an incense stick on, have a bath, have a hot drink, and kind of just have a moment where it's like it's just me. Because most of the time it's not just me.
you like center yourself.
You're thinking about, okay, who's doing the school run, who's picking up, I've got to have that meeting, I've got to do this. I think for me, ritual and finding that moment to kind of be like, you know, give yourself some time. Even if it's 15 minutes, giving yourself some time. But for me, it has to be a ritualistic thing, I think, for it to work and for me to feel empowered, because it feels like, this is my time, I've made an effort.
And I think the main thing is it's always be prepared. I think that's where sometimes it can just get a bit too, you've almost got to be prepared. Not saying overly prepared, but literally, actually, it's like what you've just said. I'm trying to almost reinforce what you've said. Give your time to really think and meditate on what you're going to do or what you need to do. Because once you have that almost planned and you've gone through it in that ritualistic way, it means that it's very much more difficult for people to throw you off your perch. Or
Nice.
off you.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
And I think that's sometimes what it's about. People throwing you off your perch.
You're right.
You almost need to protect yourself from every single, because it's really easy to get offended by people. Some people don't even mean to offend you, they just can't even help themselves.
Yeah.
If you allow every single thing that someone throws at you, whether it's looked you the wrong way or said hello in the wrong way or whatever, to come at you, you will just be like this at the end of the day, because you've allowed it all to get to you here. So for me, it's just about learning mechanisms to protect yourself, so you're not oversensitive to every single thing somebody says or does to you. Because if you allow that to affect you, then you're exhausting yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Because you're constantly battling against things that sometimes, of course, they matter, but you can't allow them to matter. There's certain things you don't give them energy. There's no point in, like going back to things fighting about. Don't give every single battle, every single thing your energy, because you are the one who will be left at the end of the day like this, with nothing, nothing left. If you have nothing left, don't give every single thing your energy.
I don't know if I have anything practical, because I'm like in this stage where obviously like I don't have kids, I'm on my own, like, so I'm just enjoying my time in the sense of like, I just love watching Netflix and I love eating and I love wine and like, do you know what I mean? So I don't have anything, like I wish I could say I get up and I do a workout and I do meditation, do all that crap, but I don't do it. And I think there's a time where I'll probably get into some sort of routine, but I'm not really in that at the moment because I'm just enjoying like that I've got that freedom, which I think is fine. Yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that. Actually, how can I, that flip those narratives around where it's always so like negative or I'm not as good as that person or whatever, to actually, well they did that, so we can write a book, or like actually we are totally like
and very often take things from the positive rather than like, why am I not doing that? It's like I can do it.
I can do it. It's just I've been told I can't. It's exactly. So I think I'm sort of in that stage now where I'm a little bit like, I'm just, obviously I still compare myself, and obviously there's still moments where I'm like, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that, but it doesn't take over my life as much as it used to. And I can shut it down. I could be like, no.
I think that's interesting you said that. I think that's also an age thing.
Yeah.
Because I think when you hit 30, you stop caring, you're like, oh, whatever. You hit 40, you think, shit. You hit 50, you're like, I can. It's like, I cannot wait to reach 80. No one's, but it's definitely an age thing.
It is an age thing.
Because you start to see the barracks, like basically the systems, you start to be like, oh, actually, these mean nothing. Like, oh.
You do.
Also, not investing in toxic relationships anymore. It's like a massive revelation to me. It's like, I don't owe you anything. And actually, I can say no. I don't have to do it. And that is a massive like liberation. And like some affirmations as well. Just have like little things that I write down, and if I'm maybe like not feeling as positive or doubting myself, I just go back and like read them and sometimes say them out loud. And there was one, I don't even know if this was one I just made up or somebody I heard it and paraphrased it, but it was something like, there are people like with half your brains and half your talent with like triple your success. And it's just like, you know, actually stop doubting your abilities, because Trump is president of the United States. If that guy can be president, like the sky is the limit, you know. So I do feel like, exactly, like we really just like play ourselves down, and you know, and especially like when you're a woman of colour and you just had to contend with feeling like the other, and the, you know, you gotta give twice as much or work twice as hard, or you gotta be a certain way to fit in and be accepted and get the opportunities. And I've like, that is just nonsense. Like that, I just want that to end. And so that's like part of my motivation as well.
Love that.
So much.
Thanks.